Comments, the honour for St. Albert Edmonton.
Madam Speaker, this is about as cynical as it gets. This is a pension bill under the guise of an elections bill. It ought to be called the Loser Liberal Pension Protection Act, because that's precisely what it is doing. It is designed to pad the pockets of soon-to-be loser liberals so that they can secure pensions that they otherwise wouldn't be entitled to. This government is literally giving the middle finger to everyday Canadians who are struggling as they pad their pockets. Isn't that the reason why the government House Leader is moving to expedite this legislation?
Sir.
Madam Speaker, absolutely not. My friend should be concerned about the municipal election in Alberta that would happen on the day that the legislation originally contemplated the election on the 20th of October. There's also an important religious holiday, Diwali. But, Madam Speaker, we look forward to the committee. We look forward to the committee hearing from witnesses. And, Madam Speaker, it doesn't matter what date you choose. If you move the legislation back, for example, to the 20th on the Alberta Municipal Election Day. We heard from our colleagues from the Bloc Québécois. They think 7 days before the Quebec municipal election is too much time in terms of an overlap. So any time, Madam Speaker, fixed election legislation contemplates a day, you'll bump into significant religious holidays, some municipal or provincial or territorial elections. So if the committee in its judgment wants to hear from witnesses and look at this issue, the government will obviously be happy to work with the committee. We think it's important to pass this legislation to make voting more accessible.
Questions and comments? Honorable député de Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte.
The honourable member for Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, here we have this idea to push back the election date by 1 week, saying that there's a Hindu holiday on the same date. But ultimately, the whole point of advanced polling is to be able to vote and not do it on that exact day. And then by pushing the date by 1 week, MPs elected in 2019 will be able to get their pension. So this will benefit certain members and perhaps may benefit certain candidates as well. So is this the Liberals' way of thanking their members? Or is this once again a type of multicultural clientelism, or both? I think it's both. Madam Speaker, I would never expect such a cynical question from a colleague from the Bloc Québécois. His colleague before asked a question about respecting Quebec municipal elections. And we, of course, have paid close attention to the representations of the Association of Municipalities of Quebec. However, we know that there are the municipal elections in Alberta, provincial and territorial elections in Newfoundland and Nunavut. Yes, my colleague mentioned a religious holiday to make his point. It's his choice to do that. We are also concerned about the fact that there will be overlap with municipal and provincial voting elsewhere. But, Madam Speaker, we hope that the committee will study this. And if the committee, in its best judgment, decides to change the date, then we will be happy to work with it.
But the honourable member for North Okanagan-Shuswap.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to just put one question really clearly to the member of Public Safety and Interparliamentary Relations, intergovernmental relations. The section in this bill that would have extended the voting date by 1 week, so a number of Liberal MPs that are about to lose their ability to attain a pension by 1 week, was that clause put in the bill to appease his caucus and the members that are about to lose their seats? Simple question, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister.
No, Madam Speaker, and it certainly wasn't put in there to benefit the 32 Conservative MPs that would benefit by that change as well. So, Madam Speaker, the answer is no to both.
Member for Calgary-Shepherd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. a talking point that the minister often likes to use is that in Alberta we're going to have a municipal election in 2025. He uses this talking point repeatedly despite the fact that the Local Authorities Election Act allows any council across Alberta to move the election from the Monday to the Saturday just by a bylaw change. And I would hope that his staff would go back and do their homework so they can better inform the minister that this is not a problem in Alberta, and Albertans will figure it out on their own as we have in the past. So isn't it the case then, Madam Speaker, that this piece of legislation is strictly about protecting the pensions of loser Liberal MPs in the next general election?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I answered that question a moment ago. Absolutely not, nor is it about protecting the pensions of the 32 Conservatives that would be eligible with this particular scenario. Madam Speaker, we've made it clear that if the committee in its study of this legislation wants to look at this particular date, obviously it's within the purview of the committee to do that. In my discussions with Elections Canada, there are significant religious holidays which bump into any one of these potential dates. In some cases, there are municipal elections, Madam Speaker. But again, if colleagues at the committee want to study this issue and hear from the appropriate witnesses, the government will obviously be very happy to work with the committee.